We're going to go down to Tampa, Florida, check in on Super Bowl 55 and what else is happening around the NFL. ESPN's national NFL reporter Sal Paolantonio is in Tampa getting ready for Super Bowl 55. He's on the Boardwalk Honda hotline. Our boys Johnny G and the Burger Realty team helping us have Sal Pal on live in Florida today as we get ready for Super Bowl 55. Right here on 97.3 ESPN, our coverage begins at 3 p.m. The kickoff at 6:30. And right now on the Boardwalk Honda hotline to take a closer look at Chiefs and Bucs and anything else that is on his mind is Sal Paolantonio live in Tampa. Sal Pal, welcome back to a Sal Pal Friday.
Boy, oh boy, we have been waiting all year long through this pandemic. On this Mike Gill show, you and I have done it almost every Friday since the NFL draft. Mike, since really Super Bowl 54. So I'll tell you, it's finally here, and I'm glad it's here.
Yeah, and the path to 256 games, 17 weeks, they really had very few speed bumps. I mean, what were some of the paths to get to this point that I know the NFL is really proud of?
Well, I mean, the ability to just block everything out and continue to go forward in the NFL season is pretty amazing. To create a bubble without a bubble, they had to test every single day. Here at the Super Bowl, they're testing twice a day. You know, it was interesting. Yesterday, after the commissioner's press conference, I don't know if you saw any of it. I was one of the 20 national reporters invited to it. And I asked Commissioner Goodell at the press conference, Mike, I said, what were those anxious moments like? What were those challenges like? How close were you to calling timeout? He said they, at one point, were within 24 hours of postponing the season and going to a Week 18. Wow. Back when they had the outbreak with the Titans. And the Steelers their game kept getting pushed back in the week. So it was touch and go there for a while. To the timeline, I'm sure that you read it. It's a pretty interesting timeline that Troy Vincent put together for Commissioner Goodell. If you have a chance to put that out on social media for your listeners, please do.
I heard Troy this morning too on KJZ with the guys, and he was almost the sound in his voice about how not surprised but just amazed that they got to this point. And the interesting thing is, Sal, not only did they get to this point, they got us here with amazing stories. I mean, we're getting Andy Reid, whose legacy now, which I think that you will be able to eloquently discuss. Andy Reid is now playing for, think about this, back-to-back Super Bowl champions. He has been to this game now 3 times. I mean, this game is going to put Andy potentially in another stratosphere.
Oh, yeah, it will. It'll definitely put him in that group with the back-to-back Super Bowl winners, Don Shula, Chuck Noll, Vince Lombardi. I mean, there's not too many of them that have done it. It's a pretty exclusive club. It would punch his ticket completely to the Hall of Fame, to Canton, Ohio. That is for sure. But, he won't be done. He'll be right. If he wins this game, Patrick Mahomes II will be superstar talent in the National Football League once and forever. And Andy Reid will have to just keep on figuring out how to make sure that he's got a team around this young man to continue to win Super Bowls. But I'm not sure they're going to win. I think this is one of the hardest Super Bowls to pick. I really do. I picked the Chiefs last year, hands down. This year, not so sure. I think it could go either way. My pick is Bucs 27-23. Because in the end, I just think they'll have more plays in them. But I think the loss of Eric Fisher is significant. You know who's taken Eric Fisher's spot, right? It's Mike Remmers.
Yeah.
Remember Mike Remmers? Mike Remmers made Von Miller into a Super Bowl MVP in Super Bowl 50. He was the one who was supposed to be blocking Von Miller, allowed Von Miller to climb all over Cam Newton in that game. He forgot to block him.
Well, Sal, you know there was a time you covered this area and Andy where his his status in the NFL was a fiery conversation, and there's still Eagles fans that are just could not warm up to Andy Reid. What is it about Reid in his second act that he was able to kind of almost I don't know, did he resurrect himself in Kansas City?
Yeah, for sure, 100%. And Patrick Mahomes helped along the way now. I mean, you know, without Patrick Mahomes, he doesn't beat Houston, doesn't come back and beat Houston last year, doesn't come back and beat Tennessee, certainly doesn't come back and beat San Francisco in the Super Bowl. And, you know, that's what a head coach is supposed to do, find a talent, build around that talent, find himself a defensive coordinator, build around that defensive coordinator. That's what he did with Spagnuolo, who's had a great history against Tom Brady. 5 meetings. Brady's 2-3 against Spagnuolo, been sacked 13 times. So, you know, that's what a head coach, Andy just couldn't get it done in Philly. Got close, won a lot of games, couldn't get it done. Donovan McNabb throws 3 picks in Jacksonville. Yada, yada, yada. We all know his story.
Yeah. Don't remind us.
No, I definitely will. Did you see these latest reports that a trade of Carson Wentz could be close?
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely. And I was certainly going to lead you down that path is, all right, here we go. You're in Tampa, and I know you're covering both teams, but I'm imagining that the scuttlebutt down there is how imminent this sounds.
Only what I hear from my colleague, Adam Schefter. That he definitely wants to leave the franchise, and there have been a number of aggressive offers to the Eagles. And I do agree with Les Bowen of the Daily News, who said that the longer Wentz goes without saying something, like I think the quote is, "I'm happy to be in Philadelphia. I'm happy to be the Eagle. I'm excited about playing with Nick Sirianni. I'm excited about the 2021 season. I'm excited about competing at the quarterback position." The longer he goes without saying anything, I think the tougher it is going to be to put the toothpaste back in the tube, as they say, genie back in the bottle, however you want to put it.
Yeah, I mean,
Very
at this
tough.
point, it's like, how does he, go back into that locker room? He hasn't said anything.
No,
It almost seems imminent that something's going to – does it have that feel that something is going to imminently happen?
I don't have that feeling, but if Schefter does, I'm going with Schefter.
Okay.
I'm going with Schefter.
Well,
I want to see what the deal is. Now, Mike, if they got to cough up a couple of draft picks to make somebody swallow Carson Wentz's bad contract, that's not going to look too good.
Right. You mentioned the golf thing, and they could do that in L.A. They can't do that here. You wonder.
You would agree with that. I mean, come on.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing. I don't know that anybody has a good grasp, Sal, on what the Eagles should, A, demand or expect to get back in return in this situation, because it's such a odd spot where you have a player who just simply did not play well. It's not that Goff was horrible. They just kind of lost faith in him. Wentz was horrible.
Wentz was historically horrible, historically bad. And that's A. B, it was a messy divorce with him and Peterson that definitely soiled the locker room chemistry. There's no question about that. A lot of those reports were all real. Fractured relationship, wants out, talking about wanting out while the team's still in the playoff hunt. That kind of stuff lingers. But if you have this onerous contract and you have to cough up, it depends on. We will find out pretty shortly how desperate the Eagles want to get rid of Carson Wentz and how desperate they want this divorce to happen. And maybe, Mike, some of that stuff that Mike Tannenbaum said early on, like, there is a way for Carson Wentz to help that situation out financially. And not for nothing, it was Tannenbaum who first hired Howie Roseman out of Fordham Law School when Howie went to the New York Jets. So they talk.
That's
good. They talk.
That's a good point. Now,
they talk.
Oh, absolutely. That's an excellent point to bring in. Now, your colleague Tim McManus is reporting the Eagles have already received aggressive offers for Wentz. And now the Colts keep getting tied to them, and you wonder, does that seem to you that it almost makes too much sense.
No, well, they went after Stafford and failed. But when they went after Stafford, they did not offer the Lions their first-round pick, the Colts.
Yeah.
That's why they came up short. Well, among other things. So there's that. The question is Andrew Luck coming out of retirement?
Throw that into the mix too, right?
Sirianni and Andrew Luck are close. Hello.
You had to do that, didn't you, on this Friday edition of Sal Pal Friday?
Hello, Mike Gill. Hello.
Sirianni and Luck are close. Now, Luck had to leave because, Grigson's offensive line was hideous, and then Ballard came in and put it back together for him. So, maybe Wentz could resurrect himself there. I don't know. We do a best of the Sports Bash on the weekend, and your conversation generally will air on the best of. But I don't know what to do because Wentz could get traded at any minute, and this conversation could be old conversation. So is something happen imminently, or are we going to be having a conversation next week with Wentz still on this team?
Michael, I love you. I respect the heck out of you. But next week, if I'm on the radio with you next Friday, Mrs. Paolantonio is going to divorce me.
Fair enough.
And listen, I love you, but I don't love you that much.
Fair enough. Well, if you were going to be back on the radio next Friday, would we be talking about Carson Wentz here or gone?
You're going to have to do it with Lynn Paolantonio on the phone. Hello, Mrs. Paolantonio. What does your husband think? You know what he thinks? Click.
You know what you could do? I got a good idea. Hey, Mrs. Paolantonio, here's a nice cup of Dunkin' Donuts coffee, and he'll be back in 15 minutes.
Hey, listen, it's been a great year, and of course I'm coming on the show next week. Carson Wentz is traded. Of course, I wouldn't dream of not coming on. But let's have a good Super Bowl 55. And wouldn't it be fun? The Eagles traded Donovan McNabb on Easter Sunday. Wouldn't it be fun if the Eagles traded Donovan McNabb on Super Bowl Sunday?
Carson Wentz.
Excuse me.
Yes.
Wouldn't it be fun if they traded Carson Wentz on Super Bowl Sunday?
It would be apropos for everything that has happened here. By the way, Sal Pal has 27, 23, Tom Brady, number 7, and the Buccaneers win down in Tampa. Well, you're enjoying the weather for a couple of more days. It's not too bad here. We did get some snow, but we'll be thinking of you while you're down there with the game, while we're watching it on the big screen. And, of course, if something happens for next week, we'll talk to you then.
All right, stay positive, test negative, brother.
All right, and, of course, Sal Pal, our friends Johnny G and the Burger Realty team, helping bring Sal Pal to us on this Friday show. He is in Tampa with a live report.